There is a thought that has visited every single person alive, every CEO who built an empire, every artist who ever created something that moved people, every parent, every teacher, every soldier, every monk, every person who looks from the outside like they have it completely figured out. It has visited them all, and it has visited you. I am not worthy. Maybe you heard it before a job interview. Maybe you heard it when you looked at someone you loved and could not quite believe they chose you. Maybe you heard it so quietly, so briefly, that it was gone before you could name it, replaced immediately by a distraction, a reason to be busy, a reason to move on. And that is exactly what makes it so dangerous. Because unlike fear, which announces itself loudly, which you can feel in your chest and name and address, this thought is a ghost. It does not knock. It does not wait for you to be ready. It slips in through the walls. And then it gets to work. Most people never notice it. Not really. They notice the symptoms, the hesitation before they speak in a meeting, the relationship they kept slightly at arm's length, just in case, the business they thought about starting for years and never did, the version of themselves they always meant to become. Someday, when the time was right, when they felt ready. The time was never right. They were never ready. And they never understood why. The thought was the reason. A thought they never once looked directly at. A thought that ran their entire life from a room they did not know existed. That ends today. The diagnosis. To deal with something, you have to understand it first. Not fight it. Not suppress it. Understand it. So let us look at this thought clearly. Where does it actually come from? It comes from two places simultaneously, and both of them, once you understand them, will change the way you relate to this thought forever. The first is the ego. The mind is not just a thinking machine, it is an identity machine. From the moment you were old enough to understand that you were a self, a separate person, with a name, with a reputation, with a place in the world, your mind began building a story about who that self is, and it has been defending that story ever since. The ego does not want you to try things you might fail at, because failure threatens the story. The ego does not want you to reach for things that feel too big, because reaching and falling short threatens the story. And so it whispers, reliably, every time you approach the edge of your comfort, you are not worthy of this. Stay where it is safe. Stay where the story stays intact. The ego is not your enemy. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do. But it was designed for survival, not for greatness. The second source is older than any individual, deeper than any personal history. We are, at our core, social animals. For hundreds of thousands of years, human survival depended entirely on the group, and the group had a problem it needed to solve. How do you stop the wrong people from seizing power? How do you prevent the selfish, the cruel, the unworthy from rising to positions that affect everyone? The answer was built into us. A biological social alarm system. A voice that rises in every person who approaches power and asks, "Are you sure you deserve this? Are you truly worthy of what you are reaching for?" In the right person, at the right moment, that voice is a check, a form of integrity, a pause before overreach. But in most people, in most moments, it fires indiscriminately. It does not know the difference between a person genuinely unfit for something and a person who is simply new to it. It does not know the difference between arrogance and ambition. It just fires, every time. Understanding this does not silence the thought, but it does something more important. It reveals what the thought actually is. Not a verdict, not the truth, a mechanism, an old, blunt, imprecise mechanism that was never designed for your specific life, and mechanisms can be worked with. The hidden danger of ignoring it. Most people never sit beneath their own Bodhi tree. Most people never look at the thought directly. And when a thought like this goes unexamined, it does not stay quiet. It does not stay polite. It metastasizes. It becomes inaction. The person who cannot start, who cannot finish, who wakes up every morning with the vague intention of beginning something meaningful and finds, by the end of the day, that nothing happened. This is not laziness in any ordinary sense. Lazy implies a choice. This is something else. A subconscious refusal to try, because trying means risking proof that the thought was right all along. The mind would rather do nothing and stay safe than reach and confirm its own worst fear about itself. It becomes procrastination, but not the procrastination of someone distracted, the procrastination of someone self-protecting. Every delay is a negotiation. Every postponed decision is the ego buying time. Buying time from what? From the moment of exposure, from the moment they find out. It becomes a gloom that has no clear cause, a low ceiling on joy that the person cannot explain and cannot shake. They have things to be grateful for. They know this. And yet there is always a film over everything, a muted quality to the good moments, because joy feels dangerous when you do not believe you deserve it. The subconscious will not let you fully land somewhere you do not believe is yours. And underneath all of it, the thought governs decisions the person never even consciously makes. The opportunity they do not apply for because they talk themselves out of it before they even begin. The relationship they hold just slightly at distance because getting fully in would mean fully risking. The version of their life they keep treating as something that will begin later, when they are more ready, more qualified, more worthy. Later never comes. Later is the thought's favorite word. This is what ignoring it costs. Not a moment of discomfort. A life. Giving and the subconscious. There is a man I want to tell you about. He had built, by his early 30s, the kind of life that looked successful from the outside, a career that paid well, an apartment in a city he had always wanted to live in, people around him who respected him, and yet he could not stop sabotaging himself. Opportunities came and he found reasons to let them pass. Relationships reached a certain depth, and then he would, almost mechanically, do something to damage them. Projects he believed in would reach the final stage and he would go quiet, miss deadlines, disappear. He knew what he was doing. He could not stop it. The knowing and the doing were completely disconnected. One winter, he was walking home and he passed a man sleeping on the street in the cold. He had almost nothing in his wallet, but something moved in him and he stopped. He gave the man everything he had on him, not a gesture, everything. And then he walked home with nothing. He said afterwards that he did not fully understand why he did it, but something shifted that night, not dramatically, not immediately, but over the weeks that followed, the sabotage began to slow. Projects got finished. He showed up differently in rooms. Something in him had quietly changed. Here is what I believe happened. When you give to someone who has less, you send a signal to your own subconscious that is more powerful than any affirmation you could consciously repeat. You tell yourself, at the level below thought, I have enough. I am enough. I am someone who has something to offer the world. And the subconscious cannot hold two contradictory beliefs at once. You cannot behave like a person of abundance and simultaneously believe you are not worthy. The mind has to resolve the contradiction. And when you act generously, when the behavior precedes the belief, it resolves it in your favor. The thought, I am not worthy, is fed by scarcity, by hoarding, by the closed fist. It starves in the presence of an open hand. Give, not when you feel ready, not when you feel abundant. Give precisely when you feel you have nothing to spare. That is when it counts the most. The reframe. Here is the shift that changes everything. The thought, I am not worthy, rests on an assumption so deeply buried that most people never question it. The assumption that there is a fixed, measurable self, and that this self has been evaluated and found lacking. But the self is not fixed. The person you are today is not the person you will be in 5 years. The person you were 5 years ago would not recognize some of what you are capable of now. You are not a finished thing being judged. You are a process, constantly becoming. And here is what I want you to understand about the thought itself. The fact that it visits you is not evidence of your unworthiness. It is evidence of your awareness. Only the person reaching towards something real ever hears it. The person who has given up, who has fully settled, who has stopped growing, that person does not hear this thought. There is nothing left in them for it to protect against. The thought visits the people on the edge of something. That is where you are. And the question is not how to silence it. The question is who you decide to become in spite of it, or rather, because of it. Become the person you believe deserves to have success and power. Not someday, now. Not when the feeling arrives. The feeling follows the behavior. It never leads it. You act like that person first. You make decisions like that person. You carry yourself like that person. You treat your time, your word, your work, like someone who believes they belong in the room. And one day, not in a dramatic moment, not in a single revelation, you look back and realize the thought has grown quiet. Not because you defeated it, because you outgrew it. Because the identity you built around you made it irrelevant. The thought cannot find a home in someone who has already become what it warned them against. 432 Hertz and the subconscious mind. Now I want to talk about something practical, because philosophy alone does not reach the subconscious. The subconscious does not speak the language of argument. It speaks the language of repetition, of feeling, of state. Most people have tried positive affirmations. Most people have found them hollow. You stand in front of a mirror and you say, "I am worthy." And some part of you, the critical, rational, conscious mind, immediately fires back, "No, you are not." And the affirmation dies before it lands. This is not because affirmations do not work. It is because the delivery method is wrong. For an affirmation to move from a conscious statement into a stored belief, for it to actually rewire the subconscious, the critical mind has to be quieted first. The gates have to be open. This is where frequency matters. 432 Hertz is a sound frequency that research suggests corresponds naturally with the resonant frequency of the human body. When you listen to audio tuned to 432 Hertz, music, tones, ambient sound, the brain begins to shift toward a slower, more relaxed brainwave state. The nervous system settles. The critical, defensive mind softens. In this state, what you say to yourself lands differently. It does not hit the wall, it goes through. Pair your affirmations with 432 Hertz audio. Speak them slowly, in the present tense, with the relaxed certainty of someone reporting a fact, rather than wishing for one. Not, "I want to be worthy." Not, "I will be worthy." I am worthy. I belong here. What I have to offer is real, and it is needed. Do this in the morning before full wakefulness. Do it in the window before sleep. These are the moments when the conscious mind is already loosening its grip, when the subconscious is closest to the surface and most receptive to what you give it. You are not trying to convince yourself of something false. You are trying to replace an old program that was never true to begin with. The thought, "I am not worthy," was installed without your consent, by forces that had nothing to do with your actual capacity. You are simply rewriting the code. The closing monologue. I want to leave you with this. Somewhere in your life, there is a version of you that never happened, a conversation you did not start, a room you did not walk into, a thing you were made for that you circled for years without ever touching the center of it. And if you trace it back, if you follow the thread all the way back to the beginning, you will find the same thought, sitting quietly at the root of all of it. I am not worthy. It was never true. It was never a verdict. It was a mechanism so old it predates language, protecting something that did not need protecting, keeping you small in the name of keeping you safe. And here is what I want you to know about that version of you that never happened. It is not gone. The conversation can still be started. The room can still be entered. The thing you were made for has not expired. It is not too late. It is not too crowded. It is not already spoken for by someone more qualified, more prepared, more deserving. You have simply been standing outside a door you were always allowed to open. The person on the other side of that door is not fundamentally different from who you are right now. They did not wait until they felt worthy. They gave when they felt they had nothing. They spoke to themselves differently in the quiet moments. They acted, repeatedly, like someone who belonged, until belonging stopped being a feeling they were waiting for and became simply who they were. They outgrew the thought, not by fighting it, by becoming someone it no longer applied to. That is available to you, not as a distant possibility, not as something you worked toward for years before you deserve to reach it. Now, today, in the next decision you make, in the next room you walk into, in the next moment you feel the thought rise and you choose, for the first time or the 100th time, to act anyway. The world does not need another person who almost did something great. It needs you, fully in, fully present, fully worthy of exactly what you came here to do. You always were. You just forgot. If this resonated, please subscribe so that others may find this. Thank you for watching.